Hi, I decided to come on here and do a little therapy. I actually stopped going to my therapist recently. Um, Honestly, I just found like it was a lot of money for realizations that I could get to just by talking to maybe a camera instead of to a person for several $100s a session. So I'm going to see how that comes. I found speaking to her, I came to realizations on my own. It's not, she never really pointed anything out or, you know, it was more of a mirroring session, like where I would speak and speak and speak, and then I'd hear myself speak and analyze what I was saying, and then be like, huh, never thought of it that way. I can do that here for $0, so maybe that'll help. So a little bit about me, I guess, as if I'm starting a therapy session, I'm going to go with that. A little bit about me. I'm 47. I'm going to be 48 this year in 2026. I'm currently cooking potatoes, so excuse me 1 second. I live in Ottawa, Canada. Actually, not true. I live in Gatineau, which is the Quebec side of Ottawa, so the Outaouais area. I work full-time, and I'm very privileged to work from home. It is something that really is saving my mental health at the moment with everything that I'm going through. So I'm forever grateful for the opportunity to work from home full-time for the time being. You know, that can change at any given time. It's management's discretion. I currently am married. I've been married for 2 years, but in that relationship for 4 years. I'm also 4 years, 3 months clean and sober. So no alcohol, no illegal or legal substances at all, no prescription medications, nothing. Just raw dog in life, I like to say. You know, it's quite the experience to live the ups and downs and not have an escape other than, you know, pushing through, doing a lot of meditation and a lot of yoga and a lot of talking. So that's why I'm here. I'm here just to air it out, just for myself, for my own mental health, and, you know, maybe someday kind of listen back and kind of hear from a third party perspective a little bit about my life, maybe that I didn't realize. You know, it's when you're talking that you have these realizations. I've noticed that in the therapy sessions that I've been going to. So I have an hour, so not because I'm in therapy, but because I actually have dinner plans. So I have an hour to get through this. So where to begin? I met my husband, and that I'm gonna focus on the marriage at the moment. Actually, sorry, let me get to that, because it's ending, and so we're moving into a different era of life at 47 years old. I feel like I've been through many eras and many long-term relationships that have ended, but this is the first actual real-life marriage, like where we got married. And, you know, I wouldn't have done that if I didn't think he was my be-all and end-all, like the person who I was going to spend my entire rest of my life with, and you know, soulmate, or whatever word you want to put on it. He was that for me. And I really am struggling to envision a future without him in it. I think one question that a friend of mine asked the other day, like, do you still love him? And, like, obviously the answer is yes. I will love him forever. Like, I don't think I'll stop loving him. It's not the type of a breakup where, you know, there's a lot of animosity and screaming and yelling. Like, it's not like that. You know, we're being very civil and peaceful and just trying to wrap things up as seamlessly and quickly as possible without rushing things. And it's definitely something that I'm struggling with at the moment, and again, I can name that's an issue for me right now, because I, in my life, like to end things quickly and move on to the next. You know, like, it's like, okay, it's over, run away. Like, you know, the saying, cut off your nose to spite your face. Like, I'm that girl. Like, I will cancel a wedding note to self, come back to that story someday in the future. I will cancel a wedding right out from under you without even telling you. I will call the guests and tell them not to come, and then I'll let you know I canceled that wedding. How horrible is that? Like, that's something that we need to talk through, because I'm sure that I definitely crushed someone's soul that day when I did that. But that's just a part of my personality, and it's something I'm trying to change. And, you know, the circumstances that I'm in here now, I can't just up and run away. Like, we own a home together. And, you know, I have to ensure that I'm getting out of it what I have to get out of it, and he has to get out of it what he has to get out of it. You know, we both have to split the funds of selling this house, and we have to live in this house together until it's sold. And, you know, it's a weird dynamic. I think we're lucky in that we don't have young children. I have twin boys that are 20 years old, but they don't live with us, so they're off living life. And he has 2 kids, a 20-year-old daughter who recently moved in with us. And again, put a pin in that, because that's one of the main issues that we're having. Main issues. I don't want to blame her. I would say that she is an issue in that she brought forward personality traits in him that interfered with my idea of a happy marriage. That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah, like, it's just not what I had in mind. It's not what I got married for. And, you know, like I said, ride or die, and I'm here for life. But I'm also need to be respected in my marriage, and I need to be a priority, and I need to feel love. And, you know, when there's that big of a distraction to the point where every waking minute, day or night, or like you're at work, or you're no matter what, his daughter was involved in every single second of everything since she moved in here, and it's become unmanageable. So, all that to say that it's ending now, you know. And you know, when we have fights in the past, you know, he would say like, oh, well, we should just get a divorce. And, you know, the first few times it's like a stab in the heart, where you're like, oh, the word divorce, like, I didn't get married to get divorced. How are you so easy to jump to that? And, you know, I understand that it wasn't serious. He was just saying it to be hurtful. But this last time, you know, broke the camel's back. I heard the let's just get a divorce, and I was like, yeah, let's just get a divorce, sure. Like, you know, you keep throwing it out there, and you're sure that that's what you want, because you don't want to have to deal with the reality of the fact that you want to micromanage your daughter's entire life, her ins, her outs, her ups, her downs, her boyfriend, her relationship with her mother, her job, her work, her doctor's appointments, her car doesn't start, she needs gas, like her money, like, my goodness, like, everything was nonstop. He's on his phone all the time, 5 o'clock in the morning, 6, 7, noon, just nonstop on the phone with her, and she's in the basement living here for free, you know, like, I don't know. I just didn't understand the level of distraction and her involvement in everything that we did. You know, everything that we did before she came to live here was just us, you know, and that's what I wanted, and that's what he wanted, and that's what we were living, and it was beautiful. And, you know, on a Wednesday night, if we were bored and didn't have anything to do, we'd go for a drive. We'd just get in the car and drive around and grab a coffee, and, you know, it was nice. You know, we'd go for a walk together and talk, and, you know, in the summer evening air, and it was so beautiful and calm and peaceful. And then all of a sudden we have this tag along, and you know what, from time to time that is fine, but every time, like, imagine you never can go to the grocery store again with just your husband. He always would invite her, and he wouldn't even ask me. He would just be like, oh, are you gonna come? It's like, geez, can she just stay downstairs? Like, can she just leave us alone? Can she leave me alone? Like, and like to the point where he's like, oh, well, movie night tonight. So he'd call her up and have her lie in bed with us and watch movies. She's not 7, she's 19, 20. I don't know. I struggled accepting that because, and I've had people say to me like, well, you got in a marriage with someone who had a kid. Well, he has kids. His son he only sees every second weekend, so like it's not intrusive and it's not the same. He's 12. So it is a child, not an adult. She's an adult at 20. I'm sorry. Like, vive pas. Sorry. Do you want it or not? Whether you want it, like it or not, she's 20. She's an adult. At 20, I was buying my first house. So, get it. It's a different world now we're living in. But she was also working in construction with her dad, making the same salary as he was making, like almost $80,000 a year for the last year and a half. And what do you have to show for it? Not paying rent? Like, where's all your money going? Well, to concerts and going to a show in Montreal, and then I have to go here, and now me and my boyfriend are going to Muskoka, and then we're going here and there, and there's always some like plan. Well, we got an Airbnb, we're going there, and she ended up getting fired from her job, her big $40 an hour construction job, because she was calling in sick because she had a headache every single day, 24/7. Sorry, this is a weird freaking bug, man. What the heck? It's winter. Like a flying, like one of those little stink bugs. I think a little gray, little hexagon guy. Anyways, I guess he woke up. It's getting warmer. Spring's coming. Sorry, distracted. Yeah, so I'm just gonna put you on pause for a second here. So I'm back, sorry. I'm in the process of making potatoes for a very good reason. I have been invited to, sorry, it's kind of loud. I've been invited to a girls' night, and the reason that's amazing is I haven't had a group of girlfriends or a girls' night in a very long time. That was definitely something that was lacking in my life since getting married. I was definitely isolated from my friends. I was isolated from making new friends. I was off of Facebook for a long time, and now I'm back, and it's nice. So my potatoes going in the oven. Let's taste that. I don't know. I made like garlic infused oil. It really doesn't taste that great. It doesn't taste, well, not that it doesn't taste great, but it just doesn't taste like anything really. It just tastes like oil. Like I'm not getting the garlic part. Tea. So, all that to say that I need to focus on him because I'm not married to her. And throughout all the time that she was living here, I did a lot of being quiet and a lot of accepting and a lot of quieting and quieting myself down and like putting myself on hold and our future plans on hold because she was living here for the last year and a half. And it was supposed to initially just be a year, and then as the year timeline progressed and like we got to the year end, I asked him like, well, like what's the plan here? Is she gonna live here forever? Like the plan was a year, and now she lost her job, so like what's that? That's another year? She's not gonna get another job anytime soon because she's ended up getting fired because she was calling in sick, like I said, too much, because she has like medical conditions that are kind of undiagnosed and hard to understand. Like I said, the daily headaches, migraines. For a while there, she had like a gastroparesis, like a paralyzed stomach. She had a thyroid issue. That's all rectified. The gastroparesis stomach thing is rectified. Now it just seems to be this like perpetual migraine that never goes away. So she can't get another job. She can't work. So she's on unemployment right now. which doesn't really matter. She's not paying rent here anyways. So like, who cares if you don't have a job or not? But get the fuck out. Sorry, that's mean. But like, at some point, you must see that your father's marriage is disintegrating. Wouldn't you understand and like move on? No. Nope. She just needs her daddy, and daddy needs her. It seems to be like it's a two-way street. Like he's as obsessed and micromanagey, and like he needs her to need him. You know, he's a saver, and I don't need saving, I think is what the situation is. You know, when we first met, we were 11 and 12 years old. So if we really want to go to the way back, that's when we met, was elementary school, grade 4. And he was in my class, him and his brother, and you know, they were the cute boys from Montreal who had just moved to town, so they were interesting. And you know, you're at that age where boys are getting a little cuter, and he was adorable. And yeah, him and his friends were funny and kind of like the cooler kids. So it was interesting to see him as an adult now, you know, and be like, oh my God, that's little Eric, who like came to my 12th birthday party and was my boyfriend at the time. You know, like when you're 12 and like being a boyfriend and girlfriend is him kissing you on the cheek and holding your hand and putting his hand on your knee, you know, or putting his arm around you, going to see a movie. Yeah, it was a time back in the day. Back in the day. And you know, we kind of followed each other through elementary school and high school. And when I say followed each other, I don't mean like on Facebook or whatever. None of that existed. It was followed each other in that like we were in the similar classes. So like we'd always just kind of bump into each other, and like we knew who each other was, and we weren't necessarily in the same friend group, but we were in the same small town school. So like we knew of each other, and like I knew his girlfriend in high school. Would hang out with one of my really good friends. So like I have a few pictures with her that we pulled out of an album one time. I have pictures with him at my 12th birthday party, and his brother. He was a football player, so like there's pictures in the yearbook of us, you know, in the Wizard of Oz play together. He was the Tin Man and I was Dorothy. Yeah, so like we followed each other through high school, and then I guess we kind of lost touch. He ended up marrying his high school sweetheart, and that is when he had his daughter, is with that girl, his first wife. So he got married to her and had the baby. And then after, I guess, like 10 or so years, that didn't work out, and he got a divorce. And then he had another baby with his next girlfriend, which is his son, who's 12. And during that time, you know, I was busy not getting married. I bought my first house at 24, and started sleeping with my neighbor. Classy, because my high school boyfriend, you know, we did an 8-9 year relationship straight out of high school, like 16, 17, 18, did it until I was like 23, 24. And he was like a super cheater, like 20 some times cheating on me. Like it was like surreal. Something that we should need to put a pin in for another therapy session. It's like that's a whole other thing. Like I feel like I've lived like 15 lives, you know? Like each one of these long-term relationships I've gotten into has been like an era of my life, and like I learned something from each one, and each one is so dynamically different that it feels like a different version of me is with each of these people, and like living that way. And like my identity changes along the way too. You know, like my first high school boyfriend, he was like an extreme sports guy, like ski bum, like, and he identified as a ski bum. Like that was to him like the highest high, to be known as a ski bum. And like he ran the chairlifts at the ski hill, and you know, he was kind of wanted to have a Jeep and go off-roading and hiking and mountain climbing and ice climbing, and just very extreme dude, you know? And then like the next guy was French Quebecer, and he barely spoke English, and he was just my neighbor, and he's actually the father of my twin boys that I have. But he was just a neighbor. We had been neighbors for like 2-3 years. He was just a nice guy who lived upstairs. He was fun to look at. Honestly, for the longest time, I thought he was gay. I thought him and his roommate were a gay couple because they just kind of, they seemed a little cozy with each other, you know? Like they were very like attached to the hip, like always together. Like it felt like more than roommates. I don't know. So yeah, he was a very French Quebec boy. He eventually learned English, you know, if they want to, they will. Yeah, he wanted to, so he did. He became pretty good bilingual. But I didn't know him very well. I knew him for maybe 3-4 months when I got pregnant with twins. So that kind of progressed our relationship along pretty quickly. And at that time, I had just bought my first house. I was 25-ish and having some babies. So he moved in with me pretty quickly, and we established that relationship very fast without really knowing each other. That was the mommy era. I was the mom, the young mom, and that was again another therapy session. Needs to go into that. Then who was next? So it goes Jeremy, Serge, Sylvain, another French Quebecer, but he was a nice guy. He's nice and then not nice all at the same time. It's interesting. They all start out really nice, don't they? And then like it just changes. I remember meeting him and thinking he was a very nice guy, and he was the one that I was going to marry. You know, we planned a whole wedding, and there was a proposal and a ring, and very fairy tale, very like unbelievable that I would be getting married. And then, you know, it all just fell apart very quickly. He was a heavy drinker and smoked a lot of cannabis, so like I followed along for quite some time. You know, we lived that life, and like it's not like we weren't successful at the same time. You know, we both had good jobs and we made good money, and like we had a cottage that we were renting out and a boat and like a big truck, and like on the outside no one would know that we were in this like toxic addictive spiral. It was during COVID too, so like nobody's really looking at that time either. So that was a time that needs more therapy, of course. Then we get into Eric. Eric is my current husband. So it sounds like I've had quite a few relationships, and they're all very long term, and they're all very different, like I said. So maybe I'll cut this off here, and maybe next time we can get into a throwback relationship. Have a good night.